You see this little camera over here? Every now and then it disappears, which means it's stopping recording. If you notice it's gone, say something to me. Please, help me out. Help Tyler out. Okay, so we are on page 141. 141 in the notes. And what we're going to look at is how to rotate shapes on the coordinate plane. And that's interesting. I guess I didn't even give you a space to write the directions, but we'll write the directions on the top. But that first example, I want you to rotate that pre-image 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. I don't care about that. How about you do the easy first part? How about you go plot that pre-image and then stop? Let's get that pre-image graphed right now. (141). Let's get that pre-image plotted. And I think I might as well write the directions for how to do these problems at the top. Step number 1 is, of course, plot the pre-image. That should not be super hard for you people. I use a ruler to connect them so things are nice and straight, like that. You gotta come back later. I'm in the middle of a class right now. Thank you. What was that? We have fourth lunch. If you come back at the start of fourth lunch, I can deal with things. What was that? He wanted to return a book. Not right now. I've got a class right now. Do we have that graphed? I think I need to wait for a moment. Yeah. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to do. The direction says rotate the pre-image 90 degrees about the origin. I'm actually going to take my entire book and I'm going to rotate my book. 90 degrees. 90 degrees would be like, how many times do I have to turn my book? One time. Okay. It said to do this clockwise. Should I turn my book like this, or should I turn it like that? First option or second option? I think that second is clockwise. Okay, so I'm going to turn it once clockwise, and it's going to look like that. I've turned my entire book. Now you need your piece of scratch paper. Here's where this gets weird. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pretend my axes are like normal axes, and I want to figure out where these points are. Here's what I mean by that. And these are going to be the coordinates of my image. A, this point over here. If these were normal looking axes, how would I get to this A? I'd go left 1, down 2, which means it would have coordinates 1, comma, -2. We're ignoring the numbers I actually have on the axes because they've been kind of spun. And I'm going to kind of look at them as if they were normal. What would the coordinates of B prime be? Well, this looks like 2, -4. What would the coordinates of C prime be? -3, -3. I'll write down what I just did in a moment. Can't right now because my paper's kind of turned. Are there questions on how I got any of these? Say that again? Okay, so you're okay with all this, right? I turned my paper. I want to now figure out if we pretend like these are normal axes, I want to find my coordinates. Well, this A it's kind of like 1 comma negative 2. This B is like 2 comma negative 4. That's what I'm doing. Turn your paper back. There's a problem. I asked you to graph the rotated shape. Do you see the rotated shape or just the original? However, you've got the coordinates of that final shape. I'm going to copy these coordinates onto my paper. I'm going to say A prime is 1, negative 2. I didn't write them originally on the paper because if I did, the paper would have been turned and it would have been hard to read. B prime is 2 comma 4. 2 comma negative 4. C prime is negative 3, negative 3. And I would like you then to plot those. And it should give you the original shape after it was turned. Then I'm going to write down what we did because this is a little confusing. But see if you can plot those 3 points. Make sure you're getting this in your notes, even if your name is Ilya. Get this in your notes, please, Ilya. Please copy this down. The triangle should look the same, just like spun, and actually should look exactly like what it looked like once I had my paper turned. But now this triangle's been spun 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. I feel like I need to write some more steps here. Step 1 is plot the pre-image. Step 2 is going to be rotate your paper. Rotate your paper, pretend the axes are normal, and on a separate piece, write the coordinates. And write the coordinates, I'm going to abbreviate it, coordinates, on a separate paper. Step number 3, rotate your paper back. Write the coordinates on your original paper and graph them. Rotate back. And actually we can just say plot the new coordinates. And I feel like this is something where after we do a few of these, this won't be a big deal, but we need to see a couple in action. And please get the mask over our nose. Thank you. When you're done with that, get your next pre-image graphed and then stop. And I know I need to wait a little bit. So again, when you're done, go to the bottom, graph the pre-image, and stop. Is anyone, can you raise your hand if you're still on the top? Is anyone still on the top? Okay, let's get that pre-image graphed on the bottom and then stop. When you're done, see if your triangle looks like mine. This isn't the hard part. Next, I'm telling you to do a rotation 180 degrees clockwise about the origin. How many times am I going to turn my paper? Twice. 180 degrees? 2 times. Actually, you know what? Because this paper is kind of like, well, it's a rectangle, but it's kind of like a square. It has 4 sides to it. 360 divided by 4, there are 90 degrees in each turn. So if I actually wanted to make a chart, I could say 1 turn is 90 degrees, 2 turns is 180, 3 turns is 270, 180 of those is going to be 2 turns. Help me out. Should I go this way? Or should I go that way? First or second? Elena? Second, yeah. I said clockwise. This is the direction the clock goes. 1 turn, 2 turns.
I think it really does matter which way it goes.
For 180, that is the only one that the direction won't matter. But 90 degrees clockwise versus counterclockwise, that will look different. Yes. 180 is the one that won't matter. You're going to take your piece of paper. We're going to write some coordinates over here. I'm going to do D prime, you're going to do E prime and F prime. We're going to pretend like these axes are normal, not flipped upside down. D, I think, looks like right 3 up 1. I think D prime is going to be 3 comma 1. How about you get your E prime, F prime? Don't say them yet. Just write them on your separate sheet of paper. I feel like in a moment, 2 of you are going to help me with those coordinates. Ilya, do you have E prime?
Yeah. It's 1 negative 2.
1 negative 2, I like that. Anna Julia, do you have F prime? Should we do this together? I want to get over here. I think that means I'm going left 4 and up 2. I think that would be the coordinate negative 4, so you go your left 4, comma positive 2. Do you see what I did? Problem? Not to nail? Problem? Yeah. Okay. So I'm always counting from the origin. How am I getting here? I think I'm going left 4, so negative 4. I think I'm going up 2. 2. Oh, yeah. I think I may know what you're about to say. Go for it.
You can just switch the negative and the positive.
Okay. Here's the deal. For rotating 180 degrees, there is a shortcut where you change the signs on things. For 90 degrees, there's also a shortcut. It's a different shortcut, though. It's you move this here and you change this to positive and this to negative. 270 is also another shortcut. Problem is, there's like 3 totally different shortcuts, and I actually think it's kind of tricky to remember. The 91 and 271, they're really tricky to remember. Rather than doing that, I think it's easier just to kind of turn the paper. I don't know. I find this easier to remember, at least. Well, hold on. We're not quite there yet. I'd like you to go back. Spin back. Copy those over onto your paper, and then graph them. I'd like to finish off the notes, and then we'll go out for our math break. We're going to finish off the notes. There are problems on the next page, and then we'll go outside for our math break. So write down what you had on your little sheet of paper for D prime, E prime, F prime. After that, graph them, and you should have the original spun 180. And I feel like there's going to be some overlap here, and that's all good. Ilya, if you go back to problem 1 and you look at like the A and the A prime, there's a little more happening there than just change the signs. That's what's going on with that. We change one, not the other. We kind of switch the x's and the y's. I just find this easier. But we got to know which one is going to change, which one's... What was that? For the second one. Well, for the first one, though, if you just flip them, -2, -1, that's not the answer.
No, I mean the whole...
Yeah, flip the paper. That's what I think. That's what I'd rather do. 3, 1. 1, -2. -4, 2. Definitely sure these are going to overlap. Kind of like a star, but really does look like one triangle. Spin it, we get the other. How are we doing? Are you with me? Do your next pre-image. 2 more of these, then mass break, then some practice. Next page, get that pre-image graphed and then stop. It's like 4 points this time. Oh, we can handle that. That's not the hard part. When you're done, see if it looks like mine. What do you think? Is yours looking like that? How many turns am I going to make? Nevaeh? Elena? Yeah, I agree with both of you. We're going to make 1 turn. Now, help me out. Like this, option 1, or like this, option 2. Option 1, that's the counterclockwise one. You know what? I think you can do the rest of this. Take your piece of paper, write down your coordinates, spin back, write them down, graph them. So we should be turning our paper 90 degrees counterclockwise. And now we need to, on the separate piece of paper, write down what those coordinates are looking like. You mean what direction? Ah, and that's something we did yesterday. Because of this. Counterclockwise. Clockwise is like how the clock goes, in this direction. Counterclockwise, opposite the clock. So, because I know the clock goes like this, I'm going to go like that. Does that make sense? And when you do watch that video from yesterday, it will go through that stuff too. And you know, see if you can finish off the whole thing. Put them on your paper, do your rotation. Hopefully it'll look the same. Actually, hopefully when you're done and have rotated back, it'll look just like what's on the screen. No. So, these are positive x's. These are negative x's. Positive ones, negative ones. So I think this one is like -2. Common 2. Hold on a minute. If I put a point over here, wouldn't you call that negative 2, comma 2? It's the same thing over here. Ignore like the numbers. Those aren't going to help. I think that's negative 2, comma 2. I think that's the same as this. Don't look at the numbers there. Pretend the axes look like the axes over here. And actually, if it's helpful to maybe look at a separate piece of graph paper, do that. So do you see how I'm going to get negative 2, comma positive 2? In a moment, you're going to tell me about data. Again, graph, then go back, plot, and all that. Okay. So, this point over here. Kind of like this point over here. What are the coordinates of that point? This one over here? I think you were there. Good. That's what you're going to say. Ignore the fact that the numbers look strange. You're going to think of the numbers going like normal. So negative 2, comma positive 2 is what you're going to say for m prime. Ignore that they're strange. Think about it like they were normal. I think we have to go left 2, up 2. So negative 2, comma 2. Just like this point over here with negative 2, comma 2. That's what I have to do over here. Negative 2, comma 2. J is going to be negative 4, comma 1. Because we're going to the left. Left is negative and down is negative. Do you see what I did with that? I think we went left 4 and up 1. So you're going to say negative 4, comma 1. L, I think we're going left 2, up 7. You're going to say negative 2, comma 7. Are you seeing this a little bit? So let's see here. I think my J prime 1, 2, 3, 4, comma 1, negative 4, comma 1. I think my K prime is looking like negative 5, comma 5. I think my L prime is negative 2, comma 7. And I think my M prime is looking like negative 1, comma 2. Maybe? No, Sarah? Okay, hold on. I'm confused. Wait. Oh my gosh. You mean because my original point wasn't plotted correctly? That's not good. Okay. So maybe it's going to look like that in the beginning, which means, this is a mess. Sorry. Negative 2, comma 2. I like that better. Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm going back. J prime, negative 4, 1. K prime, negative 5, 5. L prime, negative 2, 7. M prime, negative 2, 2. Negative 4, 1 is J prime. Negative 5, 5 is K prime. Negative 2, 7 is L prime. Negative 2, 2 is M prime. Maybe like that. Helps to plot the right points in the beginning. Maybe we won't do the last one in the notes, but 270 degrees would be how many turns? 3 turns. I think if you can turn once or twice, you can turn 3 times. We're going to do our mask break, and then when we get back, we're just going to do a little bit more practice with this stuff. There will be probably 3 of these on that quiz you're going to take tomorrow with Ms. L. I'm going to stop recording, and I will email you later, Tyler.